Well, I guess we can get started. So my name is Sarah Doyle. I'm the wine reporter at the Press Democrat, and also cover other beverages, fun beverages like cider and beer. And, we have such a wealth of amazing drinks and food in Sonoma County. And today I'm here to host our final Tastemaker series. I think we're at number 5. I'm really excited about this one because we get to profile Gary and Ellen Luchtel of Fortunati Vineyards, whose Cabernet Sauvignon won the Best of the Best award at the North Coast Wine Challenge. And we also have Dustin Valette, who's the chef and owner of Valette and The Matheson restaurants in Healdsburg. And he's got his own wine label, Valette Wines. So it's so great to have both of you, all of you guys here. And so just to recap again, Fortunati won the Best of the Best and Best of Show Red at the North Coast Wine Challenge for their 2021 Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley. It beat over 1,100 wines to win the big prize. And it's the first time in 13 years that a cab has ever won. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Hey, cheers to that. This wine, sorry to cut you off, sir. I'm drinking this right now. This is absolutely stunning, amazing. And cheers, because I'm very fortunate that I have to, for R&D, sit here and drink an entire bottle. They told me you have 30 minutes to drink the entire bottle live on air. So here we go. We're changing this from a food and wine interview. We are now doing a drinking competition. We're excited. But no, amazing wine. Very excited. Thank you.
Right. Wonderful. Right. Wonderful.
Fantastic.
As long as you're up to the task, that's all that matters.
Perfect. So Gary and Ellen, it's funny, when you found out that you won the competition, you actually weren't in the US, you were on vacation in Italy. And I was wondering if you could, tell us a little bit about how all that went down, how you found out that you'd won.
Well, Ellen got the phone call. But Italy, we were wine tasting. We were actually staying at a winery out in the country in Sicily, and Ellen got the call. But why don't you speak about how?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. It's so delightful to be here. We are over the moon to have won this award. As we spoke, small wineries never seem to get this kind of acknowledgement. So when I got the call, we were in southern Sicily. All these years, we met when we were in college, and we used to wine taste all over the back roads of Europe on a student budget. And so over the years, we've continued our little tradition, and when we can sneak away, we do. And so here we are in the back roads of southern Sicily, and I get the phone call on my cell phone, and it's our hospitality manager back at home at Fortunati Vineyards saying, "You are not going to believe what call we just got, but our wine won the best of the best." And Gary and I literally had to sit down, stop what we were doing, and looked at each other. And I exclaimed, "Seriously? Like, wow, we are over the moon about this." So we're just delighted, after all these years of putting in a lot of sweat equity and making our dreams come true. It was just a dream we had again when we were in college to be here all these years later. It's really amazing. Thank you for making that happen for us.
Yeah, and I remember you saying too, you didn't quite understand the weight of the fact that you'd won the whole thing. Like, it didn't really.
Well, yeah, I mean, the way the Press Democrat has handled this is a much different feeling than any of these other newspaper awards, Orange County or the San Francisco Chronicle, or you seem to be very deeply involved in the process, promoting the wine region in the areas. And I just think it's fantastic. And that's in itself is what makes it, a big deal. As you told me, I said, "Sarah, is this a big deal?" And you said, "Yeah, it's a big deal." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I can be ready."
Yeah. It really is a big deal. And for Gary especially, because when he took a look at who the wine judges are and realized that these are all the who's who of winemaking, literally
Right.
in the United States. And they picked this wine blind out of almost 1,150 various wines.
Yeah.
It was, quite a feather in his hat, considering he started as a home winemaker.
Yeah.
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So why did you guys decide to enter this particular wine into the competition? What was it about this 2021 cab?
We had never entered the Press Democrat wine tasting before, have we?
No, this was our first time.
And it was our current release, and I thought it was tasting really good. It was a great vintage, and the wine has really good balance. And let's throw our hat in the ring and see what happens. But really, all of that is up to Ellen. I really don't get involved with the marketing and that. I'm production. I mean, I grow grapes, make wine, fill warehouses, and that's
Right.
then I stop.
You're laughing, Dustin, but we do have a division of labor here. It's we're a husband and wife team, and we want to keep a happy marriage. So we stay out of each other's lanes. Gary, we fondly say Gary grows the grapes, makes the wine, fills the warehouse with finished case goods. That means he bottles it, puts it in the warehouse, and then my job. And I take over and I make sure our wines are on dinner tables across the country. So it was my choice to enter the competition. I love entering different competitions. I think it's a really great way to get your wine exposed to a lot of different palates, a lot of different types of judges. There's various ones across the country. And so I'm surprised I never entered it before. Honestly, you guys do an amazing job. I mean, since this award's taken place, I've read a lot about it and read up on past winners, and we are just over the moon and excited to be pouring on June 14th in the Santa Rosa, the Santa Rosa Convention Center. So,
So going back to the wine, so you sourced your fruit from the Lamoureux vineyard, is that correct?
Yeah, there's like a little 2-acre block that in 2013, I bought it for the first year, kind of on a trial basis. And I liked the fruit. It was a really great base wine. It's on the western side of the valley, just as it comes off of the hills off Mount Veeder. It's kind of like a little bench there. Lamoureux has about 1,000 acres of property, and I think they have almost 100 acres of high-end, red Bordeaux varietals.
Right. Now that's a cooler area of Napa, right? The Oak Knoll district?
Yeah, I mean, Oak Knoll is a cooler area. The west part is a little warmer. But mainly the soils are different. So you have much rockier soil, a lot less clay. As things have been warming up, it is no longer really a cool area. We're learning how to, with the different rootstocks and clones, everything's ripening earlier anyway. We're missing a lot of the viruses, but it is Lamoureux, and then blended with fruit from my vineyard or our vineyard.
Right. That's right. So just going back a little bit, can you talk, neither of you got started in the wine industry. That wasn't your first career. So can you talk a little bit about how you got involved in the wine industry to begin with?
I traveled around Europe quite a bit as a kid. And so my definition of lunch was a loaf of bread, piece of cheese, bottle of wine, and a couple of pieces of fruit and some prosciutto. And but anyway, I started home winemaking in 1992. I was still working in San Francisco downtown in the commercial real estate business. And had a lot of fun doing that, buying Zinfandel from Sonoma and Cabernet from Napa, and got to know the areas and some of the farmers pretty well. And then in 1999, I had another company that we started doing custom crush in Napa and became legal. So really, so in 1999, and then in 2002, by then the commercial real estate business that I was in, the .com thing, completely blew up. I just quit. 20 years right down the drain, I said. And we identified 10 acres in Napa that was not on the market, but the family was willing to sell it. And so in 2003, we scraped it, planted it, and and in 2025, it's an overnight success.
Literally. And so now you make about 3,000 cases now, is that right?
Yeah. It depends a little bit on the weather. Larger vintages, more, smaller vintages, less. But yeah, that's kind of our target.
Got it. And so what has life been like after winning the award? Coming back from vacation, you're like probably new celebrities.
The people keep knocking on my door asking for interview. Dan Rather's going to be this evening. So when we fly now, they automatically upgrade us to first. So they said, "Sir, we have your seat waiting for you. You want the best Democrat, best of the best." So it's changed quite a bit. I don't know. I don't answer the phone. But Ellen says that it's our sales have increased dramatically, and we're completely sold out of this wine.
Well,
I think she has 10 or 20 cases squirreled away somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it's my job to manage the inventory, and right after the announcement, we had put up half of what we had left in stock online, and it sold out in a couple of days. And we maintained the other half. Yeah, exactly. We maintained the other half for when we were planning to go to the tasting on June 14th. So as a matter of fact, we put together a few bundle packages, and the rest of the stock is available online now, so that if people would like to taste the winning wine, I can say it's not 100% sold out, but we know it will be very soon. We can even put the bundle packages in the chat if anybody'd like to see it. But again, we wanted to kind of save it so we could savor the moment, and make it last a little bit longer. It's your 5 minutes of fame, right? We're enjoying it. We love it. And we love the wine.
I think everyone should go to Dustin's house, because I know he just opened a bottle. So the first 3 people who show up
selling glasses for $400
get a free taste. So he can sell it. Yeah, I'd go definitely $100 an ounce. And take it from there.
I agree.
Well, it really goes to show how these competitions can really change people's lives, especially for some of these smaller wineries, in these times when, things are not easy in the wine industry, it can really, really make a difference.
Yeah, it certainly has.
Yeah, it has. We've also seen an uptick in visits in our tasting room.
Okay, so people can come to the tasting room to
absolutely. We're by appointment. That's per our county permit. But we're open 7 days a week from 10 to 5, and we offer 90-minute tasting, seated, private, led by a wine educator, and you get to taste through multiple wines. So and all of our wines are only available directly from us. We're teeny tiny. You'll never find them in wine shops or restaurants, and that's by design. This way we can share our little handcrafted creations with clients across the country at a somewhat more reasonable price, because we're not distributing through normal channels. We have to ship through a distributor.
I think I'm gonna make some exceptions. So the fine people of Sonoma County for this one. There'll be a select few people that if they come up to me
And ask.
they don't have to kiss the ring or anything like that, but just
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much. And so, Dustin, now thanks for your patience. So you're eagerly waiting over there. I'm dying to hear what you
I'm
think.
sitting back drinking amazing wine. What are you talking about? I'm happy.
So you're the chef owner of the Matheson and Valette in Healdsburg, and Valette just celebrated 10 years. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
The Matheson's gonna celebrate 4 years in September. Is that right?
Oh, I like it. Good research. Yes. September 2nd, to be precise.
Okay, excellent. Are you guys doing anything? Now, I know you just had celebratory dinners, etc. at Valette for the 10th, but anything going on for the 4th at the Matheson?
We are. The 4 years will be really fun. We always do big celebratory things just for that. We always showcase our farmers. Really kind of want to tell the story of, why we started the Matheson. We bought the building 7 years ago now. That was my great grandfather's original bakery. And we bought it 7 years ago, did a big 3-year remodel. But we really did it because we wanted to bring our community together. We wanted to give a canvas for artisans and craft makers to showcase their craft, showcase their passions. We celebrate not only every day, but we also get to celebrate who the people are behind the scenes. You get to see the amazing people who dedicate their life to growing the perfect tomato, who dedicate their lives to having the most beautiful fish that catch off the coast, dedicate their lives to showcasing a craft, be that being a chef, be a sommelier, but to showcase this craft for others to enjoy. And we like to celebrate that, not just in a daily format, but also in a yearly format. We have, really fun kind of, events we try to host once a month at our restaurant, but really just to sit back and understand what the best part about Sonoma County really is, right? In Napa County, of saying this truly really is a magical place. It's a place that people get to visit here and go on vacation, what we call home. People get to come out here and experience what we call a Tuesday. That's the highlight of their month, the highlight of their year, the highlight of their entire tour and their entire travel. And we try to sit back and really give and pay homage back to the ones who make that happen day in, day out. So we're excited. September 2nd is always a big celebratory thing for us. We do something the whole weekend. And it's usually just that, sitting back and letting the people who make our dream come true to sit back and really have their voice heard, let them be the focal for a while.
That's great. Well, and I think too, people like Ellen and Gary, their small little wine label, it's very intertwined with kind of what you do, because it's very much about the community and the people, the small people here, like doing what they're passionate about. And, that's exactly what you're doing. And so I'm curious what you think of the cab.
The cab is fantastic. I grew up out here. This is my hometown, right? So I grew up in Healdsburg. When I was the ripe age of, I think it was 6, I must have been 7. So I remember about 7, I think. It was the first time I had wine. My dad, being a very Frenchman, would give me, half this amount of wine and the rest water with my dinner. And the first time I had it, I was like, Dad, that's really good. It's like, son, this is what you drink with food. You don't drink soda water. And I remember as a kid, that kind of started my love of wine, my love of food. This cab is beautiful, right? Very expressive with traditional Napa Valley Cabernet. But just it expresses the love and the passion that these people have. Back what you're saying, you left your career in a big industry to follow a dream, and I've been able to follow my dreams since I was 13. But we do just that. We sit back, and at 13 years old, when I started my first restaurant job, and we started my first restaurant in 2007. My very first business, not restaurant, first restaurant I started was 2007. And, we bought Valette 10 years ago. And what it is it's about people who are passionate to follow their dream, follow what they love. And that comes through. If that's a dish you're cooking, if that's a chair you're making, a table you're making, if that's an amazing, beautiful wine you're having, it's telling that story of what your passions are, telling that story of what gets you up in the morning, what makes you want to wake up and, go to bed late and wake up early. We're just surrounded by these people who have this just unrelentless passion for creating amazing things.
Yeah, exactly. So now, you're really well known for your restaurants, but you almost became a winemaker. Is that right?
Very similar to what you guys did. We're down here in my cellar right now. This is under my house. We have an old 1872 house. This is a hand dug cellar. that we did 16 years ago. And I did it because I wanted to remind myself of why we're here. I'm a fourth generation. My great grandfather came from Ville, France. He came out here in the 1900s. He had an American dream, come out here, and he was a baker. He had literally a loaf of bread and the shirt on his back when he came out here. And he was able to bring his family to here in America. My grandfather was born in America, lived in France. My father was born here in Healdsburg, lived in France for a while. I was born in Healdsburg, but we really wanted to kind of keep those old traditions alive. We make a bunch of prosciutto, we make charcuterie. That's what we're kind of known for at Valette restaurant.
Yes.
And in 2008, when I first came back home, I was a very fortunate kid, graduated high school early. I lived in Los Angeles, New York, Hawaii, Napa, Italy, France, Vegas, everywhere. But when I came back out here in 2008, I came out here and I really wanted to make a little garage wine. I wanted to just, play around. I think my first vintage, 2008, I made a whopping 10 gallons, 2 carboys, very exciting. I used my feet. It was mediocre at best, but it fermented. It was Cabernet. So that kind of grew for me. That bloomed through 2013. In 2013 is when we kind of capped out the very top end of that home winemaking. By that time, we were making about 250 cases right here in my cellar. This cellar right here. I saw the original barrels. Kind of fun. These are my original barrels from back in the day.
So awesome! Wow, that's really
kind of fun. But we capped out 250 cases, and we were, buying Pinot Noir from Michael Brown and Dan Costa. They were at Costa Brown, right? We were starting Cirque. We would buy our grapes from David Duncan from Silver Oak. We would buy our Zinfandel from Joe Reynoso of Crescent. We really focused on making good quality wine. That became kind of a hobby to become an obsession. In 2016, we converted also to a commercial wine brand, which has been fantastic. The commercial wine brand for us has been very fortunate to have that. We have a lot of amazing wines. We have different winemakers that we're able to work with. And we are kids in Candyland. On our little 21 Valette, our 21 Valette cab, we got 100 points on that one, our very first 100, and we are beyond ecstatic for that. So
that's right.
So you're hearing from two people, two entrepreneurs who have a passion for food and wine, and to get to sit back and live our dream day in, day out. So we're very fortunate.
That's great. So does Valette have any, your wine label, does it have anything like new or exciting coming down the line?
We have some fun, exciting stuff coming up. Yes. We have a new winemaker we're announcing in July, a new partnership with, can't announce it yet, but a very unique Pinot Noir maker who also received 100 points on his wines, who's based here in Sonoma County. We have a new brick and mortar coming up. We'll be opening that at the end of the year. A little home for food and wine, finally. It's very exciting. But again, this is the best part where we live in Healdsburg, where we live in Sonoma County, where we live in Napa County, where we live in this wine country, is we're able to showcase our passions, showcase what we do and we love. And you guys, everyone listening right now, everyone's going to hear this in, later tonight, tomorrow, or in a week or a month from now. You get to sit back and not just support our passion, our dream, but more importantly, you get to keep that alive for the next generation. You get to keep that alive for my sous chefs and, the guys that, are the home winemakers who are listening to this right now and sit back and go, man, I make a really good Pinot too. And I want to go out there and I want to open my own brand. And I mean, look at what we're drinking right now. This was a garage winemaker who started 20 years ago. And look at what you are now. You won the entire competition for the Press Democrat. That's amazing. And you listen to a chef, who's just some cook who didn't suck too much at cooking, was able to start his own business and able to grow that, Valette into Valette and The Matheson, and wanted to take this garage winemaking to the bigger level. And now we have a wine brand, and now all these really fun things. We have our very first brick and mortar for the wine brand coming up in the year. But it's really to me about having these people that we inspire, not just the people who inspire me, not people who inspired you guys, but the people who we get to inspire. You, Sarah, get to tell the message of what we live day in, day out. But you get to also inspire those next people, right? Inspire the entrepreneurs, inspire the artisans, inspire the craft makers. Tell them, yes, go have a corporate job. That's amazing. Sounds like someone else did. But you quit that job to start making wine, to follow your passion, to want to wake up early in the morning, want to go to bed late. And, you know, as you jokingly said, I grow the grapes, I make the wine, I fill the warehouse. My wife is over here selling the wine. But how cool is that? How cool is that for a 20-year-old kid and say, you know, when I grow up, maybe I don't have to be the corporate ladder. Maybe it's not being a C-suite with, you know, 3 weeks vacation and I get my, you know, company car. Maybe it's what these people are doing right here. You know, it's finding their passion and being able to have their own label.
Exactly. So, well, you know, the North Coast Food and Wine Festival is coming up on June 14th, and you know, I'm gonna be able to try a lot of these small artisan wines. And I'm curious, you know, I know you're going to be making food. What are you going to be preparing at the festival?
Of course. So we're doing both food and wine. So we're doing the Matheson Valette restaurant are hosting from a culinary standpoint. And then we're doing a partnership in the VIP tent for our wine brand. So we having our Valette wines being poured in the VIP tent. Wine-wise, we'll be doing our Pinot Noir, our Sauvignon Blanc, and our Chardonnay. Our Sauvignon Blanc is made with Jesse Katz from Aperture and Devil Proof. Our Chardonnay with Dave Ramey. Our Pinot Noir with Bob Cabral, formerly of William Sellum. And then from a food standpoint, we're going to do something I love. I love potato chips and caviar. I know you guys can laugh at me all you want. Yes, come on. I know, laugh at me all you want. It's okay. All right, I'm putting on mute. I can't hear you guys laughing at me, but here's the thing. A little bit of creme fraiche, a little bit of potato chips and caviar. I freaking love it, right? I said freaking. I freaking love it. But like, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to take that, we're going to put an elevated twist on it. So we're taking a piece of dough, starchy dough. We're rolling it out, we're dehydrating it, and then we're basically searing it in really hot oil, and it souffles up. It makes like a ping pong ball, right? Where it's hollow inside, but there's a little bit of crunchy shell on the outside. Then we make an egg yolk sabayon. So we take egg yolks, a little bit of champagne, make a sabayon. We pressurize it, and then we put in a little bit of a bacon jam. So we make a house-made bacon jam. We use this egg yolk sabayon. We fill this gluten ping pong ball-like thing. We put a big piece of caviar on top of that. Big, beautiful Cetra caviar. We have a branded caviar we use. But what you get is you get the adult version of the potato chips and creme fraiche, right? Caviar. So you get the crunch of this gluten ball that I made. You get this really cool sweet salty of the bacon. You get the richness of that beautiful egg yolk custard, that sabayon. And then you get that salty textural pop of that caviar. That is just screaming fun and delicious.
Wow. So which one of Valette wines would you pair with that?
Oh, come on, man. I'm a traditionalist. I would say caviar if you ask me. Caviar and champagne, those are the best together. We might potentially have a champagne from Champagne, France, that our Valette wine brand might potentially have started about 4 years ago. That might potentially be debuted on August 23rd. We don't know that. This is hypothetical, but that's not till August 23rd. In the meantime, I love, if you're going to go with like a brioche, if you're going to go with like smoked sturgeon, use like a Chardonnay, I think it's fantastic with a caviar. In this case, because of the salinity in that caviar, because of the way that crunchy shell comes out, we're actually going to suggest that with the Sauvignon Blanc. We have a barrel fermented Sauvignon Blanc, neutral barrel, so there's no oak in it. No oak in it, but just a beautiful, clean, crisp Sauvignon Blanc that the barrel fermentation gives you the beautiful texture, beautiful mouthfeel back into it, that viscosity that stands up to that egg yolk Sauvignon, but still the acidity, it's a single vineyard, Kick Ranch Sauvignon Blanc. The acidity of that just beautifully to cut through the fat of that Sauvignon.
Yeah. That's wonderful. You know, and just going back, speaking of food and wine pairings, I wanted to ask you what you would pair with the Fortunati Vineyards cap. Dying to know. I'm sure Ellen and Sarah are dying to know too.
Can I say the rest of the bottle? Is that a good pairing? Like, what pairs well with this glass? The rest of the bottle. Come on. I mean, okay, so first off, the wine is beautiful, right? Great tannin development to it. Those are micro tannins, the way they lace back into it. You're not getting this big green assertiveness. There's no bell pepper elements into it. You're not getting the big stem interaction back into it. So for me personally, I love the fact of doing like a ribeye. I absolutely love ribeyes and cab. In this case, the flavors I'd go with it is I would take right now, porcini mushrooms are just starting up right now. I would do like a little bit of porcini mushrooms. I would actually saute them, a little bit of caramelized shallots, a little bit of pretty heavy on the butter, a little bit of fresh thyme to kind of caramelize those mushrooms. I would deglaze or add a little bit of wine to kind of moisten it back up. And then I would take a good, beautiful ribeye. I would grill the ribeye. I wouldn't put it on the barbecue. I'd actually pan sear it. So like char it in a pan. And then on top of that, I would use a little bit of roasted garlic or a little bit of bone marrow, a little secondary fat inside there. I think the idea of having a secondary fat on top of that ribeye with that creamy mushroom element, I think it'd be fantastic. The acidity is beautiful. Your tannins are gorgeous. You're not getting an overly tannic bite to the wine. I mean, it's not green tannins. They're very, very well integrated back into it. And I think that allows you to have a little bit more integrated kind of dish. That's where that roasted bone marrow, that roasted garlic, I think would play beautifully back with that ribeye, back with that mushroom fondue.
That sounds amazing. I haven't had lunch yet. I'm starving.
I know.
I'm heading over to Healdsburg.
Oh, come on, man. We got wine and
We'll
food.
be there. We're heading your way, Dustin. We'll be there soon.
That's
My
right.
address is 1212 7th Street. you can't miss it. Just stop by anytime.
Perfect. So I just actually have a couple random questions for you guys. I'm curious to ask, and then we can take questions from the audience if there are any. But I'm going to start with Gary and Ellen. Is there a particular, besides your own wine, is there a particular local wine that you've really enjoyed lately?
Boy, that's a difficult question for me.
Because there's so many.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Hard to narrow it down.
It's almost the point with chemistry and science and the advances in grape growing that there's no excuses. You know, what I look for is faults in wine. I say, what's wrong with this wine? Which is really a bummer, because you have to have really good wine, because you say, wow, there's nothing wrong with this wine.
Right.
No one goes crazy. But anyway, what have I been drinking lately? Well, I drink a lot of European wines, to be honest.
Well, and you guys,
because it's just different. It keeps, my palate fresh. But anything that I drink that makes it into my cellar, I've tasted it before. I just don't buy wines blindly. And kind of weeds out the dogs. So I can open up that door and pull out anything, and it's going to be good.
Yes. What about you, Ellen? Anything catch your palate lately?
Well, I have a soft spot in my heart for older Syrahs. Yeah, something that's been aged 4, 5, 6+ years, 7 years. It's just one of my go-tos, and I love our older Syrahs, but we did a wine club tour down the Rhone River last summer through France, and again, that sort of that European, very different. They're different, but again, I think it's what we like. We like the diversity, which is probably why we offer so many different wines as well. We just like to have a lot of different choices.
I did have a couple days ago a 2013 Syrah from Stagecoach that was made by Sequoia Grove from a really good friend of mine who's a winemaker, Mike Trujillo, I believe, was still making the wines then. And that wine stuck out. We go to these events and there's like 40 bottles of wine open. And it's just another,
it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
And Mike makes some amazing cabs as well. So we'll definitely go to his wines again, because we go way back. Mike was the assistant winemaker at the time at Sequoia Grove, and he went on to become the winemaker and then left and built his own brand. So some great older wine.
That's great. So what about you, Dustin? What is besides your own wine?
Everyone, I mean, come on, it's hard to pick. It's your favorite. It's your favorite child, right?
Like just something you've tried recently that.
Okay, I just had. I've had 2 wines that were absolutely blew me away. Right, I mean, absolutely blew me away. And that was just recently too. And the same winemaker, Jesse Katz. He has a new project called Collage. And Collage is kind of a homage back to his father, Andy Katz, photographer. I was absolutely blown away by just the depth, the uniqueness of it. And we were doing a little just tasting, right? A bunch of friends all showed up, and I have not had it yet, right? I should, but I haven't. And all of a sudden I'm like, what the heck is this? And I texted Jesse. I was like, dude, you're holding out on me. And he just released it. It was absolutely stunning. The other one we're actually doing dinner tonight for friends of ours. And we went and tasted their portfolio. It's called Prophet and Poet. Prophet and Poet is the newest one. It's with Chris Jackson, Justin Timberlake, And it is absolutely stunning wine.
Yeah.
Also made by Jesse, and it was just gorgeous. And again, I think that back to the point you're alluded to earlier is we have so many just amazing wines now. Technology, our advances in viticulture, our advances in farming, our understanding and refining of what it is that works so well. It is really hard to have a bad wine. It is now, the bar is raised so high. It has to be
Very spoiled.
ungodly exceptional to be something that is different. And again, those are the last two I've had. I had Collage about a week and a half ago. I had the Prophet and Poet 2 days ago. And those are two that just jumped at me that I was really surprised by, really, really impressed by just how stunning they are.
That's great. That's great.
And by the way, did I mention this one yet too? This is a fantastic one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get a well tap. Wonderful. Well, let's see. I'm curious if there are any questions from the audience. Let's see if there's any.
Oh, Woody's got a question. We can see Woody waving up there.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hey.
Dustin, I had the wonderful pleasure of having a chef's counter meal with you a couple of years ago.
Very nice.
And it was a slow night, and I mean, we had you as part of the event. It was really pretty amazing. You've already talked about how you're going to match the ribeye with that Cabernet. But when you go to match food and wine, especially your food, is it the food first or the wine first, and how do you identify that?
That's a really good question. When you think about it, you always want to have a compare and a contrast, right? Whenever I do pairings, I want to have some element that really of the food that kind of slides in behind the wine, right? On the same hand, you always want to have some element in that wine that matches the food. So when I was talking about like that bone marrow and that ribeye, the mushrooms, for me, when I get this beautiful wine, the nose is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, right? Gorgeous tannins back into it. I'm playing with that bone marrow or that roasted garlic to cut that tannins, to cut that acidity. The mushroom, to me, that porcini mushroom, is kind of acting as a supporting element back to the wine. There's a depth of that wine that is stunning. And whenever I do pairings, I always try to have what's a flavor profile I want to match with the wine? What's a flavor profile I want to match with the food? Now, when you think about a piece of seared ribeye, right? There's really no element of that with the wine. That's more the umami, right? That richness, the juiciness, thing that makes your mouth salivate when you eat a French fry, right? Or eat a shiitake mushroom. Those are the elements of the umami that you're trying to pair with the steak. Now, when you think about that mushroom, for me, this wine is stunningly beautiful. You get that, that dry blueberry notes back into it. You get that beautiful cassis, you get that leather. But it really, to me, is that mushroom, that roasted porcini mushroom with a little bit of that deglaze in the wine and that thyme and the butter. That's going to actually add the earthiness back into that wine characteristic you're finding. And I think that, to me, is the beauty of pairings, is you try to find a yin and a yang, a balance of the two. And end of the day, just eat more and drink more. We get to eat and drink and savor, and we get to be our own best critic. My favorite part. I love it, Woody.
What Gary and Ellen would like to pair with this with their cab.
Yeah, that's always an interesting question, because doing a lot of food and wine dinners in the past, I always want to get the chef the wine, because the wine is the wine. Okay, you can't change that, and the wine changes every 6 months, 12 months. And just a little bit of, change always, but it's a little easier to slide the food one way to the right or to the left to match the wine. I ditto the Cabernet. I also love wild duck breast, very rare. And just the filleted breast, and on a hot grill, charcoal grill, and blood red in the middle, and I think that is phenomenal. It's very different from farm raised duck. It's much gamier and wilder, and it has some wonderful flavors. But what goes with that? There's a lot of things. I mean, I go to Texas and people will be eating, salmon with that wine. I mean, it's like people aren't really doing the traditional food and wine pairings anymore. They're going to drink the wine they like and eat the food they like. And I think that's perfectly fine. But if I had my way, I would rather try to match them up the best I can. But there's a lot of options out there.
Got it. Got it. Wonderful. Well, are there any other questions from the audience or anybody out there? Oh, here's a question from Doug Rutherford. So could you offer a guess, Gary and Ellen, about when your cab might be at its peak? Like how long someone should cellar it?
It depends on the vintage. If you're talking about this Cabernet itself,
Yeah.
the 21 probably 10 years from vintage day. So what is that now?
31.
Yeah,
2031.
Yeah, so 5-6 years. I think it's going to be at its peak, but it's getting there. Napa Cabernets tend to get there a little quicker. If it's a more difficult year like 98, 2011, those years they take longer, and you're never going to hit this high of a high. But some vintages, 2012, 16, 19 Cabernets, those wines were very soft in the beginning and were very ready to drink after just 4 or 5 years in a bottle. But that particular wine, the 21, if you want to drink it now, pour a glass, come back to it in an hour. But I think the wine is so well balanced that it drinks, it will change with time and air, but it will always be good. And everybody likes wine at different stages. So what one man's wonderful wine is another man's dead wine. So
well, it looks like Chris Fusco, our executive editor, has a question. How's it going over there, Chris?
Oh, I actually don't have a question. I was just going to point out if nobody has any more questions, and if you do, feel free to ask them. But I just wanted to thank everybody for coming today. This has been a really just great little thought experiment for us. And all of these tastemakers are going online at our YouTube channel. I look forward to seeing everybody on June 14th. And when I will happily eat about a bag full of those potato chips. and
with caviar. Come on, Chris.
If you don't finish the wine, put a cork in it and put one of the stoppers in, and I'll happily have it a week later. But no, Sarah, thank you for a great job moderating this. You can view all of these on Wine, and I know Annika has put in the chat. If you have not gotten your North Coast Food and Wine tickets, there's a link in the chat, as well as a discount code called SWIRL, good for $20 off each ticket. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, go get them and enter the discount code. And again, great work by everybody here today. Really enjoyed. This is by far going to be the most fun I have all day, and I'm not even drinking.
That you're telling us about, Chris. You're telling us about.
He's not over yet.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was such a pleasure, and congrats again to Ellen and Gary and Dustin and the Matheson and Valette and everybody come to the North Coast Wine and Food Festival on June 14th. Luther Burbank.
Can't wait to see you guys next Saturday.
We'll be there. Cabernet and caviar, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. We're starting a trend right there. I love it.
Wonderful. All right. Well, have a great day, everybody.
All right. Guys, have a great Wednesday.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.